Alrighty, Carter. It is now time to see if you get suspended or not.
Hello! Welcome to the Snowflake Cast. This is a podcast with all kinds of snowflakes. I'm Twinkly. And I'm Steven. Remember, every snowflake is unique. Hey, what's going? I'm Tony the Snowflake. How you doing? Hello there. I'm Jeremy the Snowflake. Really happy to be on today. Today's sponsor is BetterHelp.com. I'm also a snowflake. Shit, those are all the voices I can do.
What about Colonel?
I thought I could do more voices. Oh, God, right. Hello there! Welcome to the Snowflake House. It just gets more liquid in the middle of your throat every time you do it, to the point where eventually I'll just drown doing that voice.
Still one of my favorite bits of all time was you going, guess who this is, and doing Colonel Butterscotch. And we're all just like, who? And you're just like, this character I made.
I was ahead of. That was before OC culture was a thing. I was simply ahead of the curve. You guys got to keep up.
No, that was a quality bit. That might be like a top 3 Carter bit of all time for me. Is Colonel Butterscotch.
Well, it's just an expansion of my usual bit, which is saying things that aren't true and saying them straight-faced. Poor Erin having a conniption because she doesn't know what's real and what's fake anymore because of me.
Yeah, just hitting the, oh yeah, you know about this, and it's just like, oh shit, really? And you're like, that's
no,
cool, but I made it up.
Yeah,
that's a classic.
Oh yeah, just lie to people. That's funny. You don't have to try that hard to make people laugh. Anyway, we're actually on, We're actually on Don't Sleep on Football. Carter here.
I don't think you're going to get suspended. I would say you're still on thin ice, but you're as of right now hovering away from suspension.
Oh, thank God. But yes, welcome to week 16, everyone. The holiday season is upon us.
Again, like outside of the Halloween season and the Thanksgiving season, and it's before the New Year's.
Welcome back to school season, and hey, how are you season? Baseball season, of course. God. Oh, yeah. God, see, that's what spring is, because spring doesn't really have any. I mean, I guess it has Easter, but like Easter doesn't get the pomp and circumstance. Like, Easter doesn't get a whole month like all of the like Halloween and not Christmas get. We just call it baseball season. When you're eating hot dogs and you're eating your dogs and you're living your life.
Well, I feel like a factor that is Halloween and Christmas are stagnant dates.
Oh, that's true.
But also there's the factor of Easter is more associated with like a heavier religious upbringing. So it's not as
I guess that's true.
I guess, as like
right, Christmas. It's not commercialized. Like people don't. You know what it is? It's the Peanuts rule. Is the holiday special? Well, they have the Easter Beagle, but I'm like, that's not considered a classic. That's just one that exists. Mm-hmm. That's the rule. If it's considered a staple Peanuts film, then it's an important holiday. If it's just kind of there, if it just exists, like Happy New Year, Charlie Brown, or the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown, or Holy Crap, It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown, my favorite one. Those holidays are kind of like B tier. Those are a little rough around the edges, as it were.
I feel like it's also the factor of it's so early in the year, you have plenty of time to not be like to get out of being in the red for like a business, as opposed to this time where it's just like, oh, we could go under if we don't have a solid Christmas.
Right. Yeah, right. Like no companies like no there's no company-wide meeting where the CEO is like, Pack, I'm going to be real with you here. If we don't make our quotas this Easter, I'm going to blow my brains out. Why did he say Pack? What? The fuck does that mean? Just everyone at the water cooler later, like, did he say Pack? What does that mean?
Dude, Dude, I don't know about you guys, but he said pack. I signed my notice on the spot.
Yeah, this is a sinking ship, and I'm really afraid of drowning. So I'm gonna take one of those lifeboats and get out of here. Jesus. We can do shtick like this because it's kind of a weird week. We really have, and we can talk about how many clinches they were this week, but it really is one of those weeks where you do. Again, we've made the joke about relegation before and like contractual obligation. There are a lot of results this week that I'm genuine. Yeah, this is one of those weeks where you're like, what are we supposed to learn from this? There's nothing to learn from this game.
Yeah.
This is just a game that exists because we're contractually obligated to play all 257 games.
Something like that. This is where, in my opinion, like the argument of like how long the season is kind of hits. I do like how each team plays 17 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't end at a perfect 500. I like that.
I hate it. I can't stand it.
We
should all strive for perfect mid.
Yeah. But this is one of those weeks where it's just like these games are kind of just thrown in there where it's just like it's not the Christmas week, so we don't need like the biggest games to like really catch attention. There's no buys, so everybody has to play. Thanksgiving happened. We're kind of at this weird point where it's just like, people are starting to do Christmassy things. So, like, do they need to actually be paying attention? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it is one of those weeks where you really have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, like, am I going to spend quality holiday Christmas time watching Vikings Giants? Like, is that how I'm going to go down this holiday season?
And the answer is...
If you're a degenerate, yes. If you're a degenerate gambler, maybe. But, yeah, it is... I don't know. I've always complained that the season's too long and every sports league should cut their season by 10%. Like, we need to we need to make that a political movement. That's the only way change is coming. But, like, this truly is that one week where you're like, what do we get from getting these extra games other than more injuries and more, like, just more, like, variance toward, like, knowing who the good and bad teams are? Say what you want about, like, the NBA season is too long.
Injury-heavy week, too.
Well, that, too. It's been a really bad 2 weeks for injuries. But, like, and obviously the last couple of basketball seasons have very much been colored by people getting Achilles tears. But, like, for the most part, the way that schedule is mapped out, it's very rare that you don't feel like the best team won the championship, or at least the one or two teams who have a reasonable claim to win the championship. Like,
there's not,
whereas the NFL
like upset like win, if that makes sense.
Right. Like, there never feels like a weird asterisk. Like, I'm genuinely trying to think of the last year where I'm like, this is a weird asterisk, especially post, like, the super teams. But, yeah, this week in particular, I'm just like, God, it's going to be so lame when the Union gets talked into an extra game.
This is also one of those weeks that it's just like, we are phoning this in. Because it's just, I don't know how many exciting, there's maybe, 3-4 exciting games the entire time.
Right. And, like, there's interesting stuff to talk about, but all of it kind of falls under big categories. God. I mean, it is, like... And we know they're going to get an 18th game. The NFL owners have made it very clear they're going to get that come hell or high water. And, like, you know, the union can rattle the players' union when its leaders aren't getting caught at strip clubs throwing dollar bills into the air, which that's how long the season is. I completely forgot about that until someone mentioned it the other day of, like, oh, remember when, like, multiple union reps got, like, in trouble for, like, you know, spending company money on strip clubs? But, like, no, because we did this when they added the 17th game. There was, like, all the rattling from the Pouncey brothers of, like, we're not going to tolerate this. We're going to stand up for the union. We're good, you know. And then, like, the players cave because it's like, you know, the average NFL player's career is only 3 years, and you can't afford to lose one of those on a strike.
Yeah.
But anyway, shall we dive into the season, or this week?
Sure. We opened up with an absolute banger of a football game.
Right.
Angeles
we are kind of
Seattle Seahawks.
Right. We are kind of being dismissive of this week of like, God, there were no good games. But we did kind of start off with Say the line, Carter. The game of the year at this time of year, centralized exclusively in Seattle, Washington. Although I guess it's not that surprising that the game of the year would come in Week 16. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks defeated the Los Angeles Rams 38-37 in overtime. A truly fascinating game because it kind of looked like a coronation game for the Rams. Like Stafford sealing up the MVP, the Seahawks being demoted to like a second-ranked contender team. I genuinely was so devastated for Sam Darnold during this game. He had multiple, took multiple sacks. He threw 2 interceptions. I believe he fumbled the ball away once. It was like the classic, it was like what we saw from Sam Darnold last year of like, okay, he's good against the bad teams, but when the spotlights are on, he completely craters. Like we go back to seeing Ghost Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. And then it was a combination of it was kind of going into the fourth quarter, the Rams score, it is 30-14. Sammy Boy throws an interception, and basically it's like, oh, this game is over. This is a formality.
Was quitting time for like the more passive fans because it's like still fourth.
Right. It's like we can go to bed.
Yeah, it's nighttime.
There's less than 10 minutes left. Like the Rams are going to march it downfield at least once. Game's over. Literally next drive, Rashid Shaheed, 58-yard punt return. Suddenly, it's a game again. 3 and out by the Rams, 2-play touchdown drive for the Seahawks. Then it is actually kind of crazy that once the score gets tied 30-30, it's just like a standoff. It's 2 really good defenses forcing I believe it was 1, 2, 3, 4 3 and outs. The Rams have one chance to take the lead, miss a long field goal, and then in overtime, back-to-back touchdowns to seal it, with the Seahawks going for the 2-point conversion. It's...
You gotta applaud the ballsiness, though, on that one. First off, they made 3 2-point conversions, which is absurd for, that's a
oh, yeah.
Thing.
Well, also, one of them was one of the strangest plays in recent NFL memory where they were trying to throw a screen pass. It deflects off a Rams player's head. Oh, everyone kind of just stands around like, I guess that was an incompletion. And the one Seahawks guy picks it up.
Charbonnet picked it up because he was just like, all right, whatever. And that was probably one of my favorite, this guy's just kind of going through the motions, but just in case. And then it's like, oh yeah, turns out he read basically read the rule book enough. It's like, it's a backwards pass. Oh, so it's technically a fumble. And it's like, you watch that lineup, and it is going inches backwards, which is in my opinion, is borderline unintentional.
Right. I genuinely feel like you could have called that either way.
But I'll give it to him. That was I feel like that was a right call in a crazy manner.
Right. It's so wild that the fate of this season, who gets the 1 seed, what happens, is really going to come down to a classic oh right, this one rule that we all forgot about. The ain't no rule that says a dog can't play basketball rule.
I feel like if it was what's it called? Raiders, Saints at the 1 o'clock slot, nobody would care enough to actually enforce it. But because it's 2 teams fighting for number 1, not even in the conference, let alone their division, it's all right, we got to do this. We got to do our due diligence, and it's at a solo time slot.
Well, and to that end, I listened to a genuinely, I checked the timestamps, a 15-minute argument of 2 people going back and forth on this ruling, because the idea, the main complaint from Rams fans now is well, someone blew the whistle, the play's dead. And the other argument was yes, but recent NFL history has taught us you play it through anyway, just because sometimes, they'll reverse the ruling. That was that whole period in the late 2000s, early 2010s, where like they kind of gave a note to the refs of like regardless, let it play out and then we'll review it just to decide like, hey, maybe that actually was a fumble, or like, oh, maybe that play shouldn't have been blown dead. And truly, the sour grapes from Rams fans, I'm like, and the sour grapes from a lot of NFL sort of commentators, it's like, if this happened to the Raiders, you wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah,
like, we can't have a double standard for like the good teams that, the coronated teams.
It's exclusively because it's the good teams. I think it's a matter of how many referees blow their whistle on things, versus also like, are they making like, is the entire herd of stripes making their way in towards the like ball and stuff, or are they all just kind of still like manning their post? Because for example, I think it was Eagles Bears game where Jalen Hurts like lost the ball on a tush push, and it's like, yeah, a referee blew his whistle, like, so it's like play is dead, but it was ruled as a fumble recovered by the Bears. I think that was the game, and it's just like, yeah, one referee did that, but like they were all still minding their like marks and stuff, and like not really like, it wasn't like a collective call. Where it's just like, oh yeah, the white hat in the middle of the field, and everybody like at least two of the guys on the same like sideline have to be like, oh yeah, this is done.
Right. We do need to talk in general. This was a right. In general, this was a red letter day for refereeing in terms of like, does anyone know the rules of this fucking game? Do we have too many rules? Should it be more vibes based? What are we going for here? But I would like to point out, not only is the 2-point conversion, like calling game at the end is ballsy, but also necessary, because if they tied, the Rams would have had the tiebreaker. Like, the Seahawks would have been completely shut out of the division. They had to go for that, which is an absolutely... It's so crazy that, like, you know, you've had a 15-point swing. Oh, yeah. You've had a 15-point swing. Genuinely, Sam Darnold went from, like, all right, we're just going to have to wait out his contract. Like, I guess this was a mistake. To maybe, like, the best 2 quarters he's played since everyone decided he was good. And then also cashes in maybe one of the clutchest moments of the year with that 2-point conversion. Perfectly executed play. Like, I don't feel... This is one of those games, like, I don't feel bad for anyone. It's, it's crazy to think the Rams will probably be the 5th seed, but I'm like, yeah, but they played good. I don't know. I mean, like, sometimes people give up punt return touchdowns.
It's one of those things that it's like, yeah, they're going to possibly be the 5th seed because they were given, like, because there's kind of stupid rules on, like, seeding, where it's just like,
right.
Yeah, no, they're going to have, like, the 3rd best record, if at worst, and they're going to be, like, the 5 seed, because every division needs somebody. Hot take, you keep the number of playoff teams, you guarantee, like, 1 spot for each division, and then 3 wild cards, that stays. The second that playoffs hit, you either randomize the match, like the seeding, or you go by each team's actual seeding. Just throwing that out there.
I don't know. I just feel like there has to be a benefit to winning, like, your wild card. Like, there has to be a benefit to winning your division in terms of, like, you got to get at least one. How about you get 1 home playoff game? That's what you're guaranteed as a division winner. But after that first round, everything reseeds based off record.
I can respect that.
So, like, the seeding just guarantees you get the first playoff game. But in the scenario of the Seahawks or the Rams, if they have the higher record, they get the next home game.
Yeah. No, I can respect that.
But, yeah, it's a game I don't really... Like, I feel kind of good where I'm like, this kind of just affirms that for me, these are the 2 teams to beat, because they both have... Well, I mean, both teams gave up 30-plus points, but, like, defenses that can make big plays when it matters, offenses that can make big plays when it matters. Really, my only big question from either of these teams was, can Sam Darnold not turn into a pumpkin in the spotlight? And the answer is, well, he can for a half, and maybe that's all you need.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations, and it's kind of on both teams, where, first off, like Puka needs to not trash the refs the second he leaves the field.
Yeah, do we want to talk about that?
I feel like that's just all we have to acknowledge is he just trash talked the refs and got fined for it, which feels wrong in so many levels because they're not full-time employees. But what can I say?
I think it's more the insinuation connecting it to the other thing he did and being basically doing a they run the media joke.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact of Sean McVay found out he tweeted about the refs.
Honestly, in terms of talking about people showing their composure and showing their showing like they can step up in big moments, Sean McVay handled that like a fucking pro.
Yeah, no,
when he's clearly very pissed about like feeling like they got a bad call, like he really like locked in to handle that professionally.
Wind it back to last week at Tampa Bay, where it's just like dude wanted to tear him apart and just composed it. And
I was literally about to say that. I'm like, look at Todd Bowles and look at this.
If I was McVay, I would, or like one of the like main captains like Stafford, it's like, listen, you did something extra stupid. You gotta pay into like the team fine fund, where they use that like kind of like in Ted Lasso, where they use that fine money at the end of the season for like just a party.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, here's accountability for not doing XYZ. You missed like these these practices. That's a fine. You didn't but it's like a team fine, not like a league fine. And he did get fined by the league too. But
yeah, I just like, I don't know. He's speed running the Kyrie Irving right now, which. I don't know. Everyone forgave Kyrie Irving for that, so I guess maybe just hold the line, or just like keep your head down for like a week and it'll be fine. And then someday we'll refer to it as, oh, that weird thing he did in the middle of a season, like we did with Kyrie.
Yeah, but like I assume that McVay would went back there and just chewed him out, whether it's in front of the team, not in front of the team. It was not behind cameras, so that's all that really mattered. And it's one of those. It's like you're already on thin ice. You gotta stop being such a fucking dumbass.
Right. For a guy who's kind of been a bundle of nerves, because there's been a lot of reports that he's been like those couple in between years between Super Bowl contending windows with Matthew Stafford. It really did sound like he was going through it. One, just kind of drained from like being kind of on the, because he's basically been in serious competitive football games since he became a head coach. He's still pretty young. And on top of that, he's also dealt with the stress of like his wife getting stuck in Ukraine when the invasion started. Like, I imagine, like, it's like if one more thing happens to me today, and it's like, what if your star wide receiver does something really bad, like really bad?
Has like a week-old baby too.
Yeah, I imagine I cannot imagine the words that were said behind the scenes.
On like adrenaline and smelling salts.
Jeez. Have you seen that trend? And please don't do this, audience, of people doing smelling salt, like random people being like, I got my smelling salts, I'm going to go for it. I watched a woman literally like pass out from how powerful the smell was. And I'm like, yeah, guys, there's a reason why the people who do this are absolute lunatics who risk severe head and leg injuries. Don't do that.
I think it's also a matter of what's it called? Like they downplay it so much in like television, where it's just like, here's this little thing, like put it on your nose, and then you just go, whoa, where am I? And it's like, yeah, media like downplays it, but then it's like you watch like somebody actually get it and they like shoot away and they're like, I'm fucking ready to go. It's like
right, like watching it on TV really undersells. Yeah, it really undersells the severity of it. But speaking of shots to the heart, another overtime thriller. The Bears beat the lower scoring, more defensive centric one. The Bears beat the Packers 22-16. Sort of kind of calling division, because I don't think Packers are going to be able to catch up at this point. Or they technically are eligible, but it's like one of those, they would need a lot to go their way.
I think it might be, it's one of those, like, they have a chance because they're technically down by 2 games. Because they do have, like, that one, like, their one rogue tie as well.
So oh, right. I keep forgetting they count that as a win.
6, they're 9-5-1, and Bears have 11. So they just need to match the Bears in order to steal the spot back. And I'm kind of sitting in the realm of it's plausible. Packers have,
who are the Bears playing next?
So Packers have Ravens, Vikings.
And Bears have
Niners, Lions.
Ooh. Oh, that's going to be a tight one.
That's going to be interesting.
I really do think that's going to be the test for how, like, for real the Bears are this season. Because this game makes me feel like they are for real. I really love the first quarter of this game was absolutely deranged in terms of it was effectively it was 2 drives. Both teams get it into the red zone. Literally within 10 yards, the Packers go for it, throw an okay pass that just goes incomplete. The Bears decide to do a direct snap to Monungai, goes over his head, and I'm like, wow, we learned nothing from this. And then the whole game kind of flips on its head when Jordan Love goes out of the game with an injury, a concussion. He gets pulled, and it's like, oh, well, this game's over. Malik Willis, again, I don't know. It's probably part a testament to Malik Willis and, like, the physical upside he has, part to Matt LaFleur being a really good coach who works with what he's got. But they actually ran a super effective offense. He was 9 of 11 for 121 yards and a touchdown. Genuinely threw, and it wasn't just like gimmick plays either. He was throwing some fucking beautiful passes. And I'm like, there is no way they're going to steal. In terms of, like, the Packers owning the Bears, it kind of felt like it was going to be an all-time devastating loss. Where it's like, we can't even beat Malik Willis. Caleb ends up throwing beautiful touchdown pass to tie the game, go into overtime. Ends up calling game on a 46-yard, maybe the best pass he's thrown of his career so far. Perfect dart, cross the body to DJ Moore for the touchdown. DJ Moore briefly looked like he died.
Yeah.
Fans are losing their minds. It's as close to a storm the field moment as we've gotten in the NFL in recent memory, where you could just feel the fans just begging to rush the field and start jumping around and flipping things over.
Yeah, no, they felt like that. This is one of those cases of, like, why I always try and, like rough out every single Eagles game, no matter how bad it gets, and at what point, because it felt like the first half was, like, just nothing football. It ended 6-0 in favor of Green Bay, and it was just like, all right, like, we're still not out of it, but it felt like a really just long, soggy game, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then in fourth quarter, it's just like the Bears are like, oh, yeah, we know how to play football. And going into the fourth quarter, it was 13-3 Green Bay. And obviously the score was 22-16 Chicago, where they just forgot how to play it. And then they were just like, oh, yeah, second chance.
Right. It was like a tense game because I feel like they were moving the ball downfield. It's just they weren't able to get the big chunk plays. And then in the last quarter, like, again, I've talked about, like, Caleb kind of being a game manager more this year while they figure out the offense and, like, sort of centering the offense more on, like, you know, again, it's interesting because he's kind of been treated like Jared Goff, even though he has a higher physical skill set than Jared Goff. And this was the first game where it really felt like he had not only was cutting loose, but really had to. Like, they depended on those throws. And ultimately, the reason why I'm so excited for the Ben Johnson Chicago Bears combination is, like, that final throw. There were, like, 3 or 4 throws during those last 2 drives, particularly that last, like, bomb. And I'm just like, I'm not 100% sure Jared Goff can make some of those throws. He certainly doesn't have, like, again, in terms of Caleb's physical skill set, that weird sort of slipperiness he has, he certainly doesn't have that. And I'm like, if they can continue to elevate this, Like if he can continue to like become more of the focal point of the offense, the sky's the limit. I think he's about like 450 yards away from being the first Bears quarterback to get 4,000 yards. That's so funny. Someone pointed out like the Bears are one of the first 2 or 3 franchises in NFL history. They effectively helped. Like they're one of the teams that pioneered the forward pass. When again, looking over the rule book, it's like, there's nothing that says you can't just chuck the ball forward. All right, let's do that. And they've never had a good quarterback. They've never they helped invent it, but they've never been able to have a good one. And
it's one of those crazy stats from like those original teams where it's just like, yeah, there's this that has never happened, and it's like, you're telling me that the like Cleveland Browns have never had insert here, like not even like a record, like it's just like haven't had this many passing yards or this many wins and stuff,
this many playoff wins. No, all of that stuff. You really do. Like again, it's crazy when you have an 100-year-old sport. You really do just appreciate all of like the weird statistical anomalies, the weird sort of like futility for a lot of teams, for lack of a better word. And you know,
and then there's also the factor of like those like individual records, like Myles Garrett going for the sack record, but it's just like then you have like Jerry Rice like holding so many records, and it's just like this guy was a freaking monster, and this was when like you could just punch dudes square in the face basically,
right?
And be like,
he wasn't that far removed from an era where you actually could clothesline and possibly paralyze someone.
Yeah. So it's like, good on him.
Yeah. I will say, though, this year does make me appreciate like how, because we thought for sure Jonathan Taylor was going to break the touchdown record. He was like so lined up to do it. And it really does underline, like when you look at how old some of these records are, it really does make you appreciate like, no, we keep adding games and it doesn't change it.
Like, I feel like that's also the thing too of like, yeah, Myles Garrett like hasn't had the sack record yet. It's currently being held by Strahan, correct?
Strahan and TJ Watt are sharing it.
Yeah. First off, did you see the guy that previously held it before Strahan like confront Brett Favre once and was like, "You fucking are the reason."
Mark Gastineau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a video.
Love that guy.
Confronting Brett Favre about like, you fell for Strahan. That was my record. I want my sack back.
Mark Gastineau, it's a shame that like his record has slowly faded as more people have like tied it, but you know, no one's past Strahan of like, because Mark Gastineau was a character. He pioneered the sack dance. He's very famous for, he was like doing a sack dance. Someone got so fed up with it, he just tackled the guy midfield. Eventually his career kind of fizzled out sooner than it probably should, and then he just became a boxer. Fascinating guy. Partially immortalized by a line from King of the Hill where Bobby Hill goes, "We need to blitz more. I haven't done my sack dance all day." Careful now, Bobby. That kind of attitude's what got Mark Gastineau into boxing. But yes, I don't know. It's so fascinating that like we've added what? Well, actually, we've added like 5 games since the Bears were a team, and they still haven't had a 4,000-yard passer.
Yeah.
Our don't sleep on games, kind of 2 of the bigger, in terms of the games that were like super duper consequential and didn't just feel like formalities. Yours was Tampa Bay, Carolina.
Correct. I feel like, I mean, I predicted it last week. I stuck with my guns, and I'm like, it's got to be it. It was close, back and forth the entire game.
You could cut the tension with a knife. It did feel like a weirdly tense game. It
was very tense on like both sides because A, division game, B, they were tied. It wasn't like, oh, you have technically like it's 7-8 and 8-7 like it currently is. It's like, no, we're both 7-7. This is for our divisional spot pretty much. Buccaneers coming off of a very tense previous game. And
they were playing like a team whose coach just had a meltdown.
Yeah. Panthers coming off of a loss. Yeah, like a sad loss to the Saints. So it's like they're both chipped at the shoulder. And it was back and forth the entire game until Baker throws an unfortunate interception to end the game because this game was hot.
Oh yeah.
It was.
And you know what?
They were. It wasn't like a. Oh, You're gonna like cut to the. What is it like the mic'd up, and you're gonna hear like George Kittle shooting the shit with Brandon Graham, and it's kind of funny where Brandon Graham's like talking shit, and Kittle's like, "Yeah, but like we're still friends though, right? Like outside of things." It was.
That's funny.
That's like pretty much a legitimate, like
Um,
verbatim what the clip is, but it was super tense, and these teams were playing to win because if they don't make it, their season's over.
Let me rattle off some numbers for you for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, leading up to going into November, they were 6-2. The only losses they had were a tight one to the Eagles and a rough game to the Lions. Since then, they have lost to the Patriots, Bills, Rams. They beat the Cardinals, and this last run they've been on, lost to the Saints, lost to the Falcons, lost to the Panthers. They have gone up against all three of their divisional opponents and got washed out. A great graphic they showed was every team in the NFC South is either 3-2 or 2-3 in their division. Again, perfect mid, as all things should be. It is brutal because it just kind of does feel like a team that has completely lost its rudder. Despite this game being close, it just really does feel like, the Panthers feel like a team that are surging and for all their faults, might be capable of something, whereas, it does kind of feel like the Buccaneers are finally going to have to go into the woods for a little bit, or just shrug it off and say there's a lot of injuries. Because, again, it's been a brutal year for injuries. And, honestly, I'm genuinely giddy that the Panthers are going to be in the playoffs. Completely unexpected. Could you imagine that first year Bryce Young and CJ Stroud were in the league, and it seemed like the Panthers had basically doomed their franchise by trading for that number 1 overall pick? If you were to tell me 2 years after that, they'd actually have the inside track to a home playoff game, mind you, I would call you insane.
I think the concept of it being 2 years is the baffling part. It's like, I would assume that it happened at some point, years down the line, but not 2.
Right. Right. I would have assumed you would have had to have gone through an entire rebuild. You would have had to get lucky and found a decent 3rd or 5th round. You would have had to find a Brock Purdy or something in the draft who can hold the fort until you can get rid of Bryce Young. I would have assumed you would have gone through at least one more coach. And nope, you actually pulled it off. My game is Baltimore, New England. I try not to do the primetime games as don't sleep on games because people watch them. But I do think it is a consequential game in terms of, one, proving something for the Patriots and kind of just summing up this season for the Ravens perfectly. The Patriots defeated the Ravens 28-24. For a huge chunk of this game, the Patriots, it just felt like it was kind of the Ravens to win. Even after Lamar goes out with a back injury, Huntley was playing well enough. They were up 24-13, and it just kind of felt like the Patriots didn't really have answers. They had a couple boneheaded turnovers, a brutal fumble, and a brutal interception. And then their 2 drives they have in the second half, fourth quarter, 70-yard touchdown drive, 89-yard touchdown drive. And I think if one of the morals from their game against the Bills last week was that's the difference between a young quarterback and an old quarterback. Just being able to handle that composure in the fourth quarter, keeping things together, not just being a front runner for the first half, but being able to pull your team out of the depths in the fourth quarter. This felt like a statement game for them. Whereas for the Ravens, again, it's the combination of maybe the coaching is falling on deaf ears. Derrick Henry barely plays in the fourth quarter despite averaging 7 yards a carry. Zay Flowers has another boneheaded turnover where he fumbles the ball away. The team can't maintain a 10-point... This is, the 7th or 8th time the Ravens have given up a 10-point lead in the last 3 years? Kind of just all of the... assuming they don't make the Super Bowl with it... Assuming they don't make the playoffs this year, this era of Ravens football will be defined by... I feel like you should have been better. Why weren't you... it's weird you didn't do better.
It's the best worst team where it's just you guys are doing terrible, but you are fucking stacked. but you're still doing terrible.
Mm-hmm. Right? Even when they had like 13-3 records, it felt like that a lot of the time where I'm like, why aren't you putting this team away? Or you get to the playoffs and like you fumble. Like the Bills were handing you a playoff game last year and you couldn't take it. And you're just like, why aren't you better? This is unacceptable. Like for the amount of talent you have, for all the analytics, for the EPA per play, the advanced, all the advanced stats, it shouldn't be happening. And yet here we are.
Yeah, I was very close to giving you a yellow card for picking this game if it wasn't as a don't sleep on, but it was just such a drag of a week for some of these games that it's just like, all right, I'm gonna let them get away with it with this reasoning because
Right, because I'm like, I don't know, all of like the big games were like, because all of the interesting games were the big games, I guess. And like, wait, how much can I reasonably say about fucking Bills Browns other than, man, I really the only difference the only difference the Bills have from this season to last season is now I'm like, both Josh and James Cook deserve better than this wide receiver group because you're doing them both dirty. But yes, shall we move on to the lowlights? I kind of just have one major lowlight that kind of like sums up my feelings for the entire week. What the fuck was this week in refereeing? So let me just rattle off.
So
yeah.
weird.
So first there was the Rams Seahawks game with the weird fumble that was or wasn't. In the Bills Browns game, Gregory Rousseau, for some reason, just decides to earn his entire contract in just one game. Manages to get Shador on the edge of the end zone. He ends up throwing the ball away, intentional grounding. So how they describe it is, on the field, it was ruled at the 0-yard line. Then they say, what did they call it? Not instant replay. They call it thank you. Expedited replay ruled that it actually was a safety. And then they say, however, a second expedited replay said it wasn't a safety. And I'm like, then what the fuck are you talking about?
The first one. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It annoyed me so much this week.
Right, I'm like, what is that wording? Of course, I'd be remiss if I did not bring up there was that great play where Booty got the absolutely crap beaten out of him in the Patriots game that wasn't called pass interference. The Steelers-Lions game ends up, and we'll talk about the other interesting thing from this game. The final play of this game was Amon-Ra St. Brown catches a pass, pitches it to Goff for the touchdown. Classic, like, Lions crazy, like, fun play. They take about 10 minutes in real time to rule what this play was. And I believe the transcript for it was something along the lines of, the ruling on the field was a touchdown. However, it was also pass interference. It is a whatever yard penalty enforced at the 9, no play, but also the game is over because there's no time left on the clock.
Yeah.
And I love that I feel like the 10 minutes they spent deliberating that was truly just to be like, we need to think of a wording for this. Like, we need to figure out how to say this and quickly figure out our exit strategy so we don't get beaten to death by Lions fans storming the field. I don't know.
I don't want to say it was like cringe, but it was just like, what are we listening to here? Like this.
Just say it wasn't a touchdown and the game's over.
Yeah.
You're over-explaining it in a way that makes it too confusing and, like, just raises more questions. I really do think it is just a reminder of, like, someday the NFL is going to have to just get, like, salaried employees on this or go completely to, like, the guy in New York or, like, asking 60-year-old volunteers with a union to do this is just not...
It's so wrong.
Especially, again, it's either you change this or you get rid of the gambling. I don't think these two things can coexist anymore.
Yeah, there has to be. They're also, like, I feel like... I think they need to be full-time. And there also needs to be, like, legitimate consequences to them. And, like, I get they have a union and stuff, but it's like, yeah, you make this, like, terrible blown call that's, like, redacted at the, like, after the game, or it's just like, yeah, that was bad, but, you know, Chiefs win by 1. That's how
and, like, they don't get interviewed about this stuff, you know? There's no, like, pool report after.
Yeah, there's no, like, there needs to be, like, either justification or like, in my opinion, like more importantly, like consequences to their to some like insanely bogus calls.
Right.
Where like there's some things that like the Sam Darnold backwards pass, technically great, like absurd call, but great call. But it's like when you're kind of futzing around for like a while trying to debate things,
Mm-hmm.
just like stop.
It's a combination of like too many, like the calls are simultaneously a pinch arbitrary, but also you're taking so long. It raises the question of like, do you even agree with this call, or are you just deciding this is what it's going to be so we can get out of here? And yeah, I don't know. Like,
And there's no consequence.
is the answer more Pinkertons? Like, do we just need to any Pinkertons who are left send them to the NFL to deal with this? Because it's like, it's not going to change. Because again, they have a very good union who's protected, like, you know, the bad refs for years. And I'm like, I don't want to sound anti-union, but like, again, it's
so hard to like talk.
Remember,
about
kid.
it without
Well,
sounding
yeah.
anti-union.
Yeah, again, sounding like you're one of the guys after the Dutch gang sending your goons to beat people up. But remember, kids, a union is not an inherent good or bad, but rather a political tool whose morality is dictated by those who wield it. Looking at you, Teamsters.
Nice.
Tennessee gets its third win, a fucking beatdown, 26-9 against the Chiefs.
26-9 against the Chiefs, where first off they start with a safety, and the first score of the game is the second quarter with a safety. And
oh, right, because people are like, please let this game end 2-0.
Which would have been hilarious.
It would have been fitting for both teams involved.
But, like, you have Minshew Madness in for the ACL list, and no, it's the guy on Browns who had a worse injury. Which, like, speaking of lows and like injuries,
really glad I wasn't looking at the screen when that happened. I'll tell you that for free.
Exploded. It's like, oh yeah, it's a knee injury with probably some hip and almost certainly some ankle stuff too. And it's just like, so his leg is just gonna get amputated. But anyway, Kansas City was doing their weird thing of we suck. Minshew tears his ACL right off the rip. And then it's just like, cool, we are going to use our backup, Chris Oladokun. And I know what you're thinking. Where have I heard that name before? And the answer is you haven't.
I haven't even heard it. And I'm like the embodiment of like the 40-year-old who just lists off obscure old football players' names. This man is 28? How?
I couldn't tell you a single thing about him. But it's just like, all right. And you're going to have the Titans kind of just dominate. Their defense kind of was actually hitting all things considering. And God, I hate that it makes a case for like Patrick Mahomes because it's like, okay, Worthy is was their top receiver, 2 catches for 41 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, goddamn, dude. And you have like,
it is actually kind of shocking that it's ending like this for them. Like, Kelce was going to retire after this year, and can you really go out like this?
Yeah, no, this like when Jason Kelce retired, it was after it was like a Super Bowl appearance, playoff run, where we just got absolutely screwed over by the Tampa Bay. But like, it was like at least you looked good and competent for it. It's just like this one, I would, if I was Kelce, I would come back for another year just because, like, unless if you have something stopping, just to end on a higher note than losing badly to the worst team of the league.
Right, in a game that's not even particularly like, you know, at least with Gardner, you could be like, well, you know what? They'll put up a fight for the end of the year. They'll go out with some pride at least. Now it is actually did you see they actually had a statement out where they're like, oh, well, we didn't have a practice today, so the injury report will be more of a estimation. And it's like, God, if that's not a team quitting.
Yeah, no, I think they're obviously done and really just need to phone it in. But they're like one of the Christmas games, so it's like you can't be phoning that in. The people are going to be watching for pretty much Travis, and that's it. But that's beside the point. Yeah, that was just a dumpster fire of a loss, and I feel like the team is done, like so checked out for the season. After the safety, the O line was like caught like yelling at each other, and it's just like you guys have nothing going for you right now. You very quickly fell apart. Like, rough season and all, but goddamn, dude, you just fell apart. Anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just a bummer, honestly. Like, almost as big a bummer as. Well, I'm sorry. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say I wanted to see a full Chiefs team, like, not make the playoffs, not like this. Like, I wanted Patrick Mahomes to be fighting for his life and losing.
Mm-hmm. Right, like, because this teaches us nothing. This doesn't punish, like, not punish, that's not the right word, but, like, this is like...
The concept of what if still exists.
Mm-hmm. And like, I was thinking about it in the context of, like, Tom Brady losing that Super Bowl to the Eagles, and I'm like, imagine if that was the last time he got to the Super Bowl. He gave it everything he had the best team he could have, and he just got beat. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that a poetic end to the empire?
That is a good way to, like, go out, where it's just like, all right, this sucks, but it wasn't like I lost to the worst team in the division, and that's how it went out. I wanted to do, like, I was in the biggest game, I lost because I just got like outplayed, and that's it. That's all you can really say about that game from, like, Tom Brady's perspective, outside of EP sitting down. And he refused to shake Nick Foles' hand. But that's beside the point.
And also, he's, like, posting, like, suicidal adulation on social media because his ex-wife is engaged. And I'm like, buddy, you're a billionaire, man. You gotta be better than this. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I guess it's good that you're not like Jeff Bezos, where it's like, oh, instead of being sad, I'll just take it out on everyone else. But, like, Jesus Christ, man, have a little self-respect. But... no, you know what it is? This is a dumb metaphor, but I'm thinking about, like, how lame would it have been in Return of the Jedi if the second Death Star really couldn't do anything, if it was just a big hunk of unfinished metal? No, it's cooler that you beat it even though it could still shoot you.
Yeah.
Like, the whole, like, that thing's operational? No, that makes it cooler, because then you really earned it. Then you really beat these guys. Yeah. That it was like a big dog fight.
Yeah, that's a very good point, where it's just like, yeah, we won against... I don't know, an asteroid? A satellite?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, a bunch of metal that doesn't do anything.
You got crickets instead of applause.
Exactly. We'd also be remiss if we did not acknowledge that the weird moment with DK Metcalf. So the fan has posted his video. Well, yes, that's the part I learned today. So basically, the first video that came out was DK Metcalf going up to a fan and striking him, which obviously is a red flag and obviously is a big no-no. Then he says that the fan said something to him. The fan releases a video of him saying DK Metcalf's full name. And DK Metcalf responds by, apparently this guy has been a troublemaker in the past. He has come to multiple Seattle games to the point that DK alerted security about him. And on top of that, someone else released, another fan, completely unrelated to all of this, released a video where you could see the guy yelling, "This was the plan. This was the plan." And I'm just like, my feelings on this have fluctuated over the day, because I'm sorry, if you go to an NFL game with the intention of, like, harassing or berating a specific player, then I kind of feel like it has to be open season. Like, you shouldn't hit people, obviously. But, like, I've always been bemused by the double standard of, like, fans are allowed to be abusive and freakish and, like, throw things and be, like, the worst and say, like, ungodly things.
Yeah.
and the players are supposed to not react.
It's like I also get it. Like these are grown people that it's like this is my job, and like as part of it is to kind of just take it. But
Mhm.
also I feel like it's one of those things where it's like once the final whistle blows, game's over. Just throwing that out there, and it's just like, yeah, no, people need like if security and stuff is going to let you down enough that you have to take actions into your own hands.
Mhm.
I mean, come on.
Right. I like to think there is some middle ground between fans being allowed to do whatever they want and like the mouse in the palace. Surely there is an option where consequences are being like DK is allowed to get consequences that doesn't cause an international incident.
Yeah. I mean, if it was all I could say is if it was at like the link where it's just like DK just says to local staff, "Hey, I'm thinking about like this guy got to stop or I'm going to punch him." That's when you just see Big Dom teleport to the other side of the field, and this fan is just surrounded by a bunch of dudes in like leisure suits
Jesus.
or like
Actually,
sweatshirts,
with a bit of
and
a hindsight, every team needs Big Dom.
yeah,
That's the lesson here.
yeah. Just with speaking of another fight, Tyler Steen versus like half the Commanders.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
People were getting chippy at the end. I forget who. Like people were trying to like get in the way, like get in like I think Saquon's face or something. And Steen was
Mhm.
like, "I'm not taking like I didn't care about the game. I didn't care about the score or anything like that. I'm not gonna let like these guys talk shit without like, and if they get like, I'm gonna stop them. But if they're gonna continue with me, I'm still gonna stop them." And just
Mhm.
once, like it brings me back to the whole like 2 seasons ago in the playoffs. You got the 49ers and Eagles, and it's just you see I think it was like Trent Williams throwing an Eagles running back, and everyone was like getting real fighty. And it wasn't
I want to
until
like the Commanders, but man, they get so like pissy when they're not
yeah,
things aren't going their way.
but it brought me back to them where like Ndamukong Suh, when he was an Eagle for that one like half season, he walked over and everybody like started avoiding him. People were like staying away from Hurts because the thing between Hurts and them was Jordan Mailata. And it's just like, yeah, like get like get like incredible shape Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in there, and it's just like people are gonna stop fighting real quick because these dudes are scary looking dudes. And like when Sue did it, it was just like it like he was a scary looking dude, but he already had the reputation of fights backing him up that everybody was
Right.
like, whoa, nope.
Exactly.
Like true
Um,
horror farming moment.
Christ.
But like
Um,
also I wanna like see like some I wanna see somebody like try and fight like Jordan Mailata from with his like crazy shape and rugby background. Where it's like, this
mhm.
dude is not soft in the slightest. And that's why
Oh yeah.
that's why people stay away from the quarterback in that situation in like the Eagles fight situations is because if you notice every time it starts getting heated, Mailata keeps them away from Hurts every single time.
Right. Right. You God, it's fucking hockey rules, man. You got to have an enforcer for the pretty boys.
And a lot of teams do.
I don't think the Bills do, but also Josh Allen's a crazy person,
Oh yeah, no,
so
Josh Allen is his own enforcer.
yeah,
he's
he asked.
he's
Honestly, I'm
got
surprised no one's tried to cheap shot him harder.
he's got that like crazy white dude energy of just
Right.
like the dude that grew up like in the sketchy parts of town where it's just
Which is
like,
weird because I think his family had money.
oh yeah,
They
no,
have a pistachio
but
farm.
he's got that vibe of just like, oh yeah, like you can try and be intimidating to me, I'm gonna laugh at you and you're not gonna
Mhm.
do anything about it. Like
Right. It is
like known women
right.
haters getting their asses absolutely handed to them in boxing. But that's beside the
Oh,
point.
God bless America.
Dude, it's been all my edits and stuff for like.
Dark woke is back, baby.
I love it.
Um,
Notable
but
notes.
well, all right. I will say on that end though, it is weird that like we keep trying to make Josh Allen the Winter Soldier, where I'm like, no, it's more jackass intense, like more wrestling intensity than like scary assassin intensity.
No, he is. He does not.
He's a
have
goofball.
He does not have vibes.
He makes D's nuts jokes.
Yeah, he has like the Randy Marsh from that one episode of like Little League, where it's just like
exactly.
He's going to be like annoying and belligerent, but he's not going to be the first. Like he's not gonna. He might be the first one knocked down, but he's gonna be the last one standing.
Right. Yeah, because, like, yeah, exactly. It's that kind of energy. It's almost, it's like diet frat boy energy. Like, there's that one clip against the Packers where he just keeps getting up in the lineman's face. You're so tough. You're so tough. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Winter Soldier's like, I've attempted to jump off this building 7 times, but my programming won't let me. Complete different spectrums of, like, intensity.
Winter Soldier is Jalen Hurts.
That's interesting. Yeah, during the playoffs when he goes like stone cold and just starts making plays because he doesn't get high. Yeah, it's like one of those moments.
Hurts, Thor is Josh Allen.
Yeah, I like that. But anyway, notable notes. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs are leaving Arrowhead. They have made a deal. Yeah. One, again, it's like, as I look at this new Bill Stadium, I'm like, I have no emotional attachment to this at all. And I don't think I will because I'm like, the old stadium was retro. It was classic. It was beautiful. And I'm like, you're threatening to do the exact same thing with Kansas City, where it's like, this is an icon. This is a landmark.
I think this truly kills the, for lack of a better word, the like tourism aspect of football stadiums. I think, like, it's literally going to be just Lambeau left, Soldier Field and Arrowhead, like, being thrown out, for lack of a better word, is what's going to kill the, like, tourism aspect of just, like, no, this is Kansas City, like, Arrowhead, crazy-looking stadium, the acoustics in it insane, like, that is a fan stadium, but they want to modify it so they could have a dome, lame, and they can... So, like, they could host more events and stuff and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, dude, stop. Like
right.
I can understand wanting to upgrade your stadium. And there are situations like the old Oakland... Was it when they were still in Oakland? Where
yes.
Like, the veteran stadium, where you're also partially playing over a baseball diamond and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, some of it's grass, some of it is just pavement and gravel because that's what the outfield of the baseball diamond is and stuff. And it's just like those situations, please give your team a new stadium. I beg you. That's like a safety hazard and then some. But like just doing it just to get a dome and a new field, and you're also like moving it kind of like, I would consider it far for a stadium move, if that makes sense.
Right, you're moving states, and let's call it spade a spade. You're doing this because you're pissy that Missouri wouldn't give you the money you wanted, so you're actually moving to Kansas. You were able to convince the government of Kansas, the state government, to give you the tax dollars you wanted so you don't have to pay for your fancy vanity project. And I think your tourist comment, that is like perfectly said, because again, it's like none of these stadiums have any history. They all look the same. They're all like shallow and chromy and glassy. And like all of them just really underline the fact that it's like these aren't stadiums for the sake of playing football in. They're vanity projects for billionaires where they can have infinite revenue from sporting events and concerts and other like programming. Like every billionaire decided they want one because it's not for the team. It's an asset for them.
Yeah, it's like kind of the death of the fun looking like restaurants and stuff like that, because you like McDonald's used to look crazy and elaborate, and then it was like, okay, we need everything to look modern. Why? Because if this location fails, we can sell the plot in like an instant. That's it. And it's literally we need to make it like a dome and the same dimensions as everywhere else. Excuse me. I'm apparently getting really choked up. I get at this.
I'm annoyed about this, but I just get indignant. I don't cry.
So we can hold. Oh God, what is happening to me? I've got the burps. Dome, money, events, more events.
Battlestar Galactica.
Like yeah, and yeah, because let's rule out Arrowhead. Let's rule out Soldier Field. What is your traditional stadiums like at this?
It really does just. It's gonna be real Lambeau. With you. It might just be Lambeau. Yeah. And that's maybe, the thing.
You can
it's a publicly owned
team. Browns-ish, but I don't know if they're planning anything new. I haven't really looked into that.
No, they've been threatening it for a while, and I'm like, you got to put out a better product. At least the Bills and Chiefs can argue oh, well, we win a lot, so yeah, you can't do that if you're talking yourself into bringing Deshaun Watson back at the end of the year. You simply cannot.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's unacceptable. It's just gross. It's lame, and it really does underline the Hunts are worth $25 billion with a B, and they are asking for this. This is the biggest influx of tax dollars dedicated to a stadium project ever. And it's yeah, you know why Lambeau's great? You know why the Packers are great? Because it's partially publicly owned. Again, it's the minute you're asking tax dollars, the teams need to become publicly owned. And frankly, again, it's another thing where I genuinely don't understand why one politician hasn't made this their pet project. Why one group of politicians haven't realized there probably is an angle here.
That's not where the rich voters are at.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's again, we've been arguing healthcare policy for decades now, and we've never been able to get a consistent coalition. I'm you could probably get a good percentage of voters on your side if your one little pet policy is, isn't it bullshit they're asking you to pay for this stadium and you don't have a say on how the team is run? And obviously that's not how the fucking Packers work, but you don't need to tell them that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just pisses me off, on so many levels. I think it's an affront to aesthetic. I think it's an affront to, the spirit of the sport, and it's an affront to, public works and the concept of organized government.
Yeah, there's some situations with, SoFi, where it's just all right, teams are coming here, and let's do this LA hot ticket high tech stadium, and it's all right, this actually could work out, and did work out. But imagine in Tampa Bay if they were hey, Raymond James Stadium, we'll see you across the parking lot at the International House of Pancakes Field in a dome, and not have that big ass pirate ship and stuff
God,
part of it.
So...
Yeah, all right. So I just another stadium that could be on a tour, because that pirate ship is fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that one gets grandfathered in. I know that's a newer one, but we can include that.
Yeah, the old Giants Stadium before MetLife, kind of a classic, but also death trappy. So it's all right, we can afford to let you go, but you got Soldier Field, absolute staple. The Bills Stadium, with its classic snow games, another staple.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that out there.
Right. Yeah, I just...
NFL tourism is dead. I want to go to all 30 stadiums just for fun thing, dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just no charm in it anymore. And honestly, if there's one thing that summed up this particular era of billionaires, it's the robbing of charm of everything really just starts to wear on you at some point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, 5 teams still have a reasonable chance to win the 1 seed. I was listening to this morning as people were mapping out the scenarios. Right now, basically, when you look at the playoff seeding for the AFC, the Denver Broncos currently have the fast track to the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Patriots are 12-3 and have a good chance. Jacksonville, after an utterly impressive performance against the Broncos, the other game that I felt like we should at least acknowledge, ended up winning by multiple scores. Probably Trevor Lawrence's best game. And then both the LA Chargers and the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans, all reasonably, if certain teams win and certain teams lose, could get up to that number 1 seed. And I really do think that is impressive in terms of the parity. And also, just wanted to give our roses to Houston. If you told me the 1-5 Houston Texans could actually get the 1 seed, I would have thought you were like, I was like, this is a blow it up sit. Like, we're getting close to blow it up territory. What are you talking about?
For multiple games.
Yeah, and that's when things started to turn around.
Alrighty. Yeah. And now we have our very long list of eliminations this week from the playoff picture. The Dallas Cowboys.
That's not the right music. The Dallas Cowboys are officially eliminated. You know, it would have actually been kind of funny if they made the playoffs despite trading their best player.
I think that was. I don't think there was any. I think the AFC was stagnant, unless it's somebody. Like, I missed somebody and they violently dropped. But it was like KC, Bengals, Did we mention Miami last week? Yeah, we mentioned Miami last week, and I know we mentioned.
Yeah, it is funny that they're the only team. It's really funny when you're the only team to get eliminated.
Yeah. So the and now time for the clinches. Seattle
which is actually a lot. Woo!
Clinched with defeating the Rams. Chicago Bears clinched with defeating the Green Bay Packers. Who's next on this? The Philadelphia Eagles clinched with beating the, to no one's surprise, Commanders. San Francisco 49ers also clinched with a scary win over the Colts. Sorry, Phillip Rivers.
He actually looked, you know what? He doesn't have any zip on the ball, but he can still throw it.
He looks pretty good still, yeah.
It's actually really funny that he's able to come in after 5 years and we can't find any good backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. The New England Patriots formally clinched, because it was pretty much going to happen in any second, with their defeat of the Baltimore Football Ravens. Jacksonville beating the already clinched Denver Broncos clinches. LA Chargers beating the Cowboys also clinch. And the Buffalo Football Bills beating the Browns clinch as well. And I think the Chargers and Buffalo was also contingent on the fact of the Colts losing to formally clinch, as opposed to you're pretty much in. But yeah, so the only teams remaining in theory is from the NFC, the Panthers, the Packers, fighting for currently in the lead for actual spots, and the Lions and Buccaneers on the outside looking in. And then from the opposite conference, we have the Steelers and the Texans more likely in, kind of looking out, looking forward, and the Colts and the Ravens on the outside looking in, not formally eliminated yet. And that is just based on the stats that I got. It still says they have their Week 16 games to play, so it could be more than that. But not my problem.
Basically, there are 2 playoff spots to be decided between both conferences. And I'm going to be honest, and someone was talking about this, there's a very real chance that Week 17 is truly, or Week 18, I guess technically, because that's when everyone plays Game 17.
A slobber, especially
thinking about. Right. Thinking about last week, that might actually be the only football game that matters, actually, in terms of actual making the playoffs. Obviously, there's still some quibbles about seeding, but for the most part, kind of everything is, all the playoff players are decided for the most part. There really is only 1 or 2 more games that matter for the rest of the year. Again, to the point of do we really need this many games?
There's a couple games that matter. You have Texans, Chargers, and then Texans, Colts. That kind of matters a little bit, but also doesn't, because they're fighting for a wild card spot. So it only matters if the Colts decide to just pop off, but I doubt that's going to happen. But Panthers Bucks is probably the only one that actually truly matters
Hmm.
in Week 18. Everything else is like, yeah, Chargers versus Broncos, but they're both guaranteed in. Bills Jets, gross. Titans Jaguars, nobody gonna care. 49ers Seahawks could have repercussions,
Hmm.
but that's not you're out repercussions. That's just, oh, you're actually the 4 seed or the 5 seed. That's about it. Anyway, question of the week. You can tell when I wrote this because what would your QB cadence be? Because like Dak's got the. It was specifically when I heard Dak Prescott, and he's got this like, set. Here we go sound. Here we go.
I've been quietly
I like it.
brainstorming this question the entire time we've been talking.
Um, like it doesn't have to be like exactly, but like if you notice, like Jalen Hurts has this like bump set spike sound when he goes bumps, like bump set spike. Spike.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm thinking like a
I
woodpecker laugh. Just whoa.
Yeah, weirdly, I was going to go on that. I was just going to scream.
Yeah.
I want like to psychologically you're trying to confuse them, you're trying to mess with them. I think just hearing someone scream at you, like I'm just thinking about the bit from Ghost of Yote where the version of the ghost dance our new character does is literally just scream and it like causes everyone to freeze up so you get a free kill. And I'm like, hey, no one would want to fuck with a crazy. It's the crazy person thing. No one wants to fuck with a crazy person. I think I would just try and like, yeah, I'd probably lose my voice for 2 days afterwards, but it set the terms. It set the rhythm of the game.
Just do different ape sounds or like monkey sounds where it's like all right, the howler monkey is the on 3 sound. The wacky gibbon is the on 2 sound. Just like that, and it's just every Monday you just have a fucking quiz, and it's just like who went off sites? You go talk to the primatologist we have in the locker on standby.
Jesus Christ.
Something stupid.
Yeah, or like an inside joke. Oh God, I'm thinking about this would require you to do a lot of research, but I think a lot about um I think a lot about how like soccer football fans will like chant like do songs based off people's backstories talking about their like personal history, like oh their wife left them or oh they got a DUI the other day. And I'm
Dude,
like,
those
can you
chants,
do the research to just fuck
European
with people's
fan
heads?
chants are so much better than almost any American chant. The Americans kind of have Seven Nations Army, but that's about it. Every other like European chant out there, even the made up ones for like Ted Lasso and stuff, just sweep everything under the rug. Pretty much everything under the rug.
Mhm.
North America or specifically US like there's like some good fight songs, but there isn't like the go. I like Go Pack Go, but like it's like there's some chance that it's just like boo, and they're just
Right.
so much more fun.
Yes. But so it would be something like that. It would be more of like a psychological weapon, a gimmick, not a catchphrase.
Yeah,
Oh God, next week we got too much football. Too much football.
I'm going to actually I can agree with you. I'm gonna disagree on this first point because we got Christmas games on Thursday. We got Dallas versus Washington, and Washington's on QB whatever. We got Detroit versus Minnesota. Wentz is out. McCarthy's out this week. We got who? And we got Denver versus the guy who I mentioned earlier, who I already forgotten,
Yep.
with KC.
This is Zeus punishing the NFL for having the arrogance to try and steal the NBA's turf.
I'm okay with it because it is a Thursday. Now to the games I'm not okay with. Houston versus LA. in Chargers capacity, actually like a kind of important game, and same with Baltimore.
Actually, a
versus
critical
Green
game
Bay.
proceeding.
This
Yes.
is another very important game.
Baltimore at the back against the wall, might not have their starting quarterback. Kind of all comes down to kind of a last stand to see if they can make the playoffs.
And then we have the biggest games of the week. There's two of them. We got Chicago versus San Fran. I feel like that's secretly a huge game.
Yes.
Sunday Night Football.
Don't look now, but the 49ers are in the playoffs. They've somehow made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I do think this game will be a good test for both of them. And then we have, of course,
Caspod Bowl, Buffalo versus the Eagles.
the second time this has happened since we started the show, I believe. The last one was an overtime thriller where the Eagles were able to come back after being down to win the game.
And
I'm going to be honest with how the
Jordan
Bills
Davis
looked against the
chased
Browns.
Oh,
yes.
Josh Allen out of bounds, which was awesome. And this is before he got so fit.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I am kind of prepared for this to be a beatdown on behalf of the Eagles. I just looking at how the Bills played the Browns, and obviously it's like a week-to-week league.
I've made the argument to my mother that the Eagles should arrest their starters this week because
You would actually have just as good a chance.
First off, there's no real defining factor. Like, if they lose this, they're not going to get fourth into, like, the 4 seed. They already have the division, so they're going to be in the 3. And if they win, they might get the 2, but that's not really a significant difference. And I'm like, your final game of the season's a home game with Kelly Greens. Just rest your starters against the Bills where, like, serious injury could happen.
Yeah, it's a weird game for the Bills because they need to win it to have a shot at the division, but also winning the division is dependent on the Patriots losing to either the Jets, who are on their third string quarterback, and the Dolphins, who might have to have a very unpleasant discussion about putting Tua back in. But you can't because you are like once you do that, like it's really you might just have to fake a Quinn Ewers injury because he was unplayable against the Bengals. A bad defense, and he couldn't get more than 20 points.
Yeah, that was trash.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. So I'm kind of just assuming the division is over and we're going to have to do this as a wild card team, which is fair. You got to be, you lost to the Dolphins and you lost to the Falcons. So, anyway, yeah, I'm really curious to see how this one goes. Last time when we lost that game, it felt like it cost us a playoff chance, and I was despondent. This one's not going to be fun.
Yeah. Don't sleep on games. I went with New Orleans, Tennessee, just for fun.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is a fun pick. It kind of decides a lot of playoff spot. Like, it kind of decides a lot of draft pick seeding. And also, like, the battle of the two teams who feel like they're kind of better than their record suggests. At least modestly. I will say it is very funny that the Saints have somehow landed on like 2 perfectly serviceable quarterbacks, one in the second round, one in the 5th round. And the only reason why Show is playing over Rattler is because when you're a second round pick, you get a little more rope than a 5th round pick. But I'm like, you could interchange either of them, and I feel like you're kind of the same team, which is better than you would think at the barest minimum. Meanwhile, I picked Seattle at Carolina, kind of like. And it's also weird because there's not a lot of games on Sunday. I kind of focus on those because, again, we don't do primetime games, and technically Christmas and Saturday are primetime games. Kind of for me, it really is like a barometer for like how serious, like this feels like a trap game for Seattle. It would let the Rams back into the contention for the number 1 seed, but also it's a test for the Panthers. It is how serious are you guys as a team? How serious are you guys in regards to obviously we're not overly optimistic that the Panthers are going to win a playoff game, but can you show me enough in this game that you're surprised good games aren't a complete fluke?
I feel like this is a showcase for like random Rams moment, like that.
Exactly. You'd basically just be deciding like how much of a fluke was that Rams game. Honestly, for both of these teams, frankly.
Yeah. And I mean, do I think that the Seattle Seahawks have the best defense in the NFC?
I think so.
Yeah, like the hit or miss aspect of the Eagles doesn't make them a competitor. I don't think Packers kind of good, but yeah, no, this is like actual playoff like caliber, like raffle stomping level of defense. Where if you look good against them, it might be a must win depending on the Buccaneers, but you kind of are already winning the tiebreaker situation.
Right.
That I think it's going to be a matter of if you look competent against them, you have a chance in the playoffs. But if you look like shit, I'm expecting a quick goodbye.
That's a good way of putting it. Shall we wrap it up for the week?
Yeah, send them home.
Once again, I'd like to thank you all for listening. We are officially we're effectively 24 hours away from Christmas. I hope you all have a peaceful, restful, tranquil, and fulfilling holiday season, whatever that means for you. And until we see you again, have a Merry Christmas.